Hello, hi, and welcome. My name is Abbie and I am your host. And today I am so excited to dive into my very first topic, technically episode 2 of Better with Abbie May. Now, this topic is something that I hold extremely closely to my heart because it has definitely been the reason why I feel so blessed today to be living the life that I am living. A little bit of a backstory about me, especially if you didn't hear my previous episode where I dived into my origin story. Last year, I was 25 years old, still living in the same hometown that I was born and raised in, working in a role that I had been working in for 4+ years and pretty much sticking to the exact same routine that I had been doing for almost 4, 5, 6 years. I loved my routine and I loved my life in Sydney, but there was a moment last year where I realized I had let myself become way too comfortable. I had allowed myself to slow down on my growth and my personal development because I was happy in the small moments of my routine. I liked my morning walks, I liked where I went and got my coffee, I liked my 9 to 5 role, and everything felt familiar to me. I think that's the key part here. I was very comfortable in the familiarity. But this wasn't all positive because there was also a moment last year where I felt lost, I felt confused, and I almost felt ashamed because I knew I wasn't showing up as the version that I wanted to be and somebody that was working towards her future potential. So I really had to take a big moment, look around, and realize that something needed to change because I wasn't going to grow unless something changed. So I made the really scary decision at the time to leave my 9 to 5 role and move interstate to the Gold Coast, into an area that, yes, it was my dream location, but I barely knew anyone. I didn't have a job lined up and I didn't really know what the future held for me. I can now confidently say 4 months in, it was the best decision of my life. Making that change, even though it seemed daunting at the time, has allowed me to access a whole new environment, a whole new mindset, and meet a whole plethora of people who have welcomed so many opportunities into my life. That's why I am such an avid believer that change is so important in your 20s. One of my favorite quotes at the moment is, "If you are not changing, you are choosing." We are so blessed to be given the autonomy to have these lives where we get to make decisions every single day that get to build our futures. We can choose the paths that we want to walk, and that is so important to remember. On a personal level, when I was trying to make this decision, I remember waking up and going to work every single day. I was doing my same routine every single day, buying coffee from the same coffee shop every single day, having the same conversations with my friends. And it is that moment where you almost need to take accountability because you could be that person that has the same conversation with your friends, 5, 6, 7 times a year, where it's like, I'm not really happy. I don't like my job. I don't like my relationship that I'm in. I feel like I'm overweight. I feel like I'm underweight. Whatever the situation is, if you are repeating that conversation, at the end of the day, you are choosing to stay into that mindset and that lifestyle. And I was doing exactly that. I caught myself having the exact same conversations about not being exactly excited about the life that I was living. It was a good life, but it wasn't a great life. And I didn't know how to bridge that gap. I was stuck in the routine of repeating myself and showing up doing the exact same thing. I felt stuck. I felt stuck in this position and I didn't exactly know what the gateway was. But for me, one of the most pivotal moments in this whole journey was I picked up a book. And I'm someone that reads a lot. I listen to more audibles than I do read, but I also listen to a lot of podcasts. And whilst a lot of these quotes, sometimes they stick with me, they resonate with me. But this one day I picked up this book and it was called The Mountain Is You by Brianna Wiest. And I had seen this book many times. Like I'd seen it advertised, I'd seen people read it. So when I saw this book one day, I thought, I'm going to download it on my Kindle and just have a read and see where it sits with me. When I tell you I was engrossed into these pages, like the way that these words were speaking exactly to me and to my pain point and to the struggles that I was going through was next to nothing. It was reading these words that I realized nobody else was going to hold my hand and to change my life for me. If I wasn't happy in the situation that I was in, I had to put things into motion. I had to take the first leap and I had to see what the way was out of it. For me, I realized it was an environment thing. I had been living in the exact same environment for 25 years. And whilst, again, I loved the place I lived, I loved the people that I was living with, there was nothing new. There was nothing that was kind of shocking my system because I was so familiar with everything. So I knew it was time to relocate. I had dreamed of living in the Gold Coast since I was a little girl. And being single in my late 20s, I kind of felt like I was on a timeline. Like if I wasn't going to relocate my life now, when was I going to do it? What if I found a relationship in Sydney? What if I started a business in Sydney? It was going to tie me down to that hometown that I wanted to escape from. Like I wanted to find something new. So I put things in motion. I made a few calls, and very soon after, I was packing my bags, getting ready to move to the Gold Coast. When I got the call to say that we got accepted for a place in the Gold Coast, I was terrified. I was so scared, and I kept questioning myself, are you making the right decision? Because you have this brilliant network in Sydney. You know all of these people in Sydney. You are so familiar with the streets in Sydney. Your routine is great. You look great. You feel great. But I knew that I could achieve all of those things in another city, and I could have the excitement of new people, new environments, new opportunities. It would force me into this mode of action, and I was ready to take on the challenge. So, if we break it down and look at why I believe change is essential in your 20s, the first reason is that it generates new mindset shifts. And in your 20s, this is our age and this is our decade for personal development and, inner growth. If you are not allowing new opportunities and new perspectives to shift the way that you think, you will be stunted in this growth and in this personal development. See, every change that you introduce in your life, whether that be a new job, a new location, a new relationship, it will challenge the way you think. And by challenging the way that you think, you open up your mind to other perspectives and to other people's opinions. I believe, especially in the world of business and in mindset, this is so important to allow for greater conversations. It essentially forces you to level up as an individual and allows you to have greater conversations with the people you love or strangers. It allows you to think more openly. The power of change also brings new relationships into your life. I am such a big believer that people will bring you so much success if you allow them to. Having conversations with people and being open to networking with different people can bring you the success so much faster than trying to get there by yourself. Every single person you meet in life can teach you something new. And if you allow this, if you are open to change and you allow these new relationships to come into your life, you will learn this firsthand. This was such a huge thing for me, moving to the Gold Coast, not knowing many people. I was so open to having conversations with strangers, going on walks with people I'd only met, through the gym or in passing. And the reason was to have conversations with different people, meet their network, and try and understand where I belong in this area. I think it is crucial to remember that when making a big change and meeting new people, not to put too much pressure on yourself. You aren't going to be best friends with every single person you meet. Every single person you meet isn't going to like you either, and that is okay. You need to show up as your authentic self, and I think doing something like an environmental change or a location change, even going to a different gym, you start to realize who you are in the world. You start to realize who you are outside of your friend group. For me, that was really important because I am someone who quite often has been referred to as a chameleon. I can very quickly adapt my personality to the people that I am with or to the people that I am talking to. And whilst that is a great trait to have when it comes to sales and to networking, it can be a confusing trait to have when I am trying to show up as my authentic self. When making this change, I had to remind myself almost daily who I am, what I value, and the type of people that I want to be surrounded by. So I could, one, show up as an authentic version of myself, but two, try and understand people as who they are showing up as. Do I want these people in my life? Do I feel like I am aligned to them and to their values? And I'm so lucky now to feel like I have found this group of girls that are so aligned to me, so aligned to my future, so aligned to who I want to be, that all they do is bring out the best in me. When making a change, allow for new relationships to come into your life. but also be prepared that they may not stay in your life. I am such a true believer in the saying, people are either in your life for a reason or a season. And if we break this down, what this means to me is the people you meet, they will either be in your life to teach you a lesson, to open up a new opportunity for you, to be there for support, emotional support, friendship, relationship, romantic support, whatever that is, you have to allow it to take place, but also accept that they may come to an end. Not all relationships are going to be in your life forever, and that is okay. So I think to wrap up this episode, really what I want to highlight is change is inevitable. And if you are someone that is going to push against it, the harder it will get. This is exactly the position that I was in. Like, I used to tell myself I was terrified of change. And so when it came to making such a big change, like moving to the Gold Coast, I was terrified. I cried. I was upset. I was depressed. My skin was breaking out. I felt physically ill. But I knew if I pushed through it, it was going to be the best thing for me, and it was. Be open to change and allow change to come into your life in small doses. Open yourself up to even the little things, such as listening to new music, watching new movies, even trying food that you previously didn't like. If you're listening to this podcast and there has been a big decision that you've been sitting on for a while, whatever that may look like, it might be a relationship that no longer serves you, a job that you no longer want to do, or an environmental change, a relocation that you're dreaming of. The biggest takeaway that I could give you today is the right time does not exist. Do not sit around and wait for the right time because it will never come. If there is a change that you want to make, you are accountable for it. Nobody is going to come and open up that doorway for you. You need to put things in motion, and I promise you, when you take the leap and you make the big, scary change, things will just fall into place. The world has a funny way of making things work. You just need to back yourself and know that you can do it. You've got what it takes to make this work, and you will come out on the other side happier, a new version, new lessons, new mistakes, and that is the beautiful part about being human. Nobody has the blueprint. Nobody has the answer. Everybody is out here just trying their best, and I promise you, making changes will welcome new growth, new personal development, and get you closer to your future potential. So as I wrap up this episode, I'm going to ask one thing of you. Write down some of your goals if you have not already. And yes, I will do a whole episode about how important it is to obviously visualize your goals and have your goals written down. But for now, write down one of your goals and look at the current lifestyle you are living. Look at the current job that you are working in. Look at your current relationships and decide, is there something that you can change in this routine or in this lifestyle that will get you closer to those goals and to your future potential? I promise you the answer is yes. The answer is always yes. There is always something that you can do and you can implement to get you closer to that potential. So this week, we are going to take one small action or make one small action to move towards that goal. Is it a career change that you're looking to make? Can you start putting together a resume to get you closer to the application process? Is it a relationship you are looking to start or looking to close? Can you have a conversation with somebody about it? If it's something like a fitness goal or a business goal, is there a mentor that we can reach out to, a mentor or a coach that we can invest in to get us closer to that point? Whatever your goal is, I am challenging you to take one small action this week to put something into play and make a change to get you a little bit closer to your future potential. Thank you for listening. This is episode 2 of Better with Abbie May, and I want to be real for a second. This episode for me was so much harder to record than I thought it was going to be. And the only reason I'm choosing to be honest is because the concept of this podcast is to take you along the journey towards better with me. And this episode took about 30 minutes to record, and I think the end clip will be about 10 minutes because I had to repeat myself so many times. I was getting frustrated and very lost in what my message was trying to be. That's not something I usually struggle with, by the way. My thoughts are usually extremely well put together, and I am not sure if it's the nerves or the imposter syndrome or the self-doubt, but this episode was tricky, and I'm sitting here and I'm almost holding back tears because I think, why was that so hard for me to film? Why am I struggling? And I think before my next few episodes, I need to come in with a stronger plan. I need to have a better script. I might need to have a few more hours of sleep. And hopefully I obviously improve from here because, like I said, this is part of the journey. This message around change is so important to me, and I will probably look at refilming this whole topic one day because I believe I can discuss the whole concept of change with so much more conviction. But today, it just did not come across that way. I will still post this episode because a big part of my messaging, especially my messaging with clients, is posted is better than perfect. But I do want to be honest with you as the listener and say that if this was not my best performance, I know that and I will get better because this podcast I am holding very close to my heart. I believe it has a really good place in the industry. I'm essentially creating this podcast with the listener in mind, and the ideal listener is myself. Myself 2 years ago in a position where I felt a little bit lost and I felt like I didn't know what I needed to do to get closer to my future potential. I wanted somebody to hold my hand, but really the message that I was missing was that nobody was going to hold my hand. I needed to be accountable and I needed a little bit of a kick up the butt. So this whole podcast is exactly that. It is a gentle reminder that you are capable, but you are also accountable, and nobody is going to come and make those changes for you. You need to put things into place and into action to get closer to your future potential. Thank you for listening. Connect with me on social media. You can find me at Abbie May, and I look forward to chatting with you in our next episode.